Now, in order to help you understand more fully how strategic culture works, I've put together a schematic and a particular example. Now, this is a simplified framework for how realists would explain foreign policy making. You've got security and or power-seeking state leaders. They're looking at a range of logically available policy options depending on the particular situation that would involve some kind of diplomacy or military force or another option. And this would be constrained by the capacity and size of the state. What is it capable of doing? And its position in the international system and in its own neighborhood. Now, based on these options, um, the state leaders will do a cost-benefit calculation of each option and then pick that option which seems to be um, the most beneficial. Now, what is the cultural argument? How would strategic culture affect policy making? And here you can see there's quite a bit of complexity in there now. To begin with, strategic culture shapes how state leaders interpret and pursue security and power. So it's not simply they're not simply constrained by their own capacity and their position in the international system. Furthermore, strategic culture constrains the logically available policy options to a much more limited range of options, as certain options are just not considered. And then, strategic culture also helps shape the cost benefit calculation of each option. It helps determine in how far a certain option is more beneficial or more costly. And then you've got the policy choice. Now, in order to make this a bit more concrete, we're using the example of the US decision to invade Iraq in 2003. Now, if we look at strategic culture, we see how American exceptionalism would push policymakers to pursue democratization as a strategic goal. Making Iraq into a democracy would presumably transform the neighborhood, and America is just the country to do it. There's also a moralistic vision of political reality. It's not simply about big states and small states, but America interpreted the situation in moralistic language. The axis of evil, Iran, Iraq, and North Korea. And so this made it, in a sense, easier to invade Iraq because it's put in the evil camp. Then you've got this principle of casualty aversion and reliance on cutting edge technology, which shaped the way that policymakers were making plans for the invasion and also the aftermath of the invasion. Well, in short, they're pretty minimalistic. There was this perception that just like the 1991 Gulf War, this would involve a minimum of casualties and could be done quickly, and there wouldn't need to be much planning. And the Americans certainly did not think of counterinsurgency at this point. Then you've got the leadership complex. Once this plan is put into action, there's quite a bit of trouble coordinating with other allies that are involved in the invasion and its aftermath. So all of these things that are aspects of American strategic culture helped shape how why this plan was drawn up in the first place and how it was put into action. Now, mind you, this is the cultural interpretation where certain elements are overemphasized and other elements, particularly those of particular individual policymakers, are underemphasized since culture operates at the state or national level.